You've got a loaf of this in your kitchen right now. Florida's Department of Health just tested 8 national bread brands for the weed killer glyphosate. 6 came back positive, and 1 hit over 1,000 parts per billion, the highest level ever recorded in a packaged consumer bread. I pulled the actual lab reports, and the worst result on this list didn't come from the cheap bread. It came from the one with the organic seal that people pay extra for specifically to avoid this. I'll show you exactly which one and why by the end of this video. If you want more of these brand-by-brand breakdowns, no fluff, just what's in the lab report, hit subscribe now. #10 Great Value Whole Wheat, Walmart. Independent testing from the Detox Project found 340 parts per billion of glyphosate in Walmart's house bread. The EPA's legal ceiling for wheat is far higher, but that ceiling was set for one chemical from one food in isolation, not for someone getting glyphosate from cereal, crackers, and bread in the same day. Walmart's scale means cleaner sourcing is a margin decision, not a financial constraint. Up next, the brand that outscored this one while wearing a USDA organic seal. 9. Market Pantry Organic, Target. Target's organic sandwich bread tested at 348 ppb, higher than several conventional loaves in the same data set. USDA Organic certifies that glyphosate wasn't intentionally applied. It says nothing about what drifted in from a neighboring farm or ended up in the finished loaf. That gap between certification and lab result isn't required to be disclosed anywhere on the package. #8. Oro Wheat Organic. Bimbo, Oro Wheat was a genuine family bakery until Grupo Bimbo acquired it in 2009, folding it into the same supply chain as Arnold, Sara Lee, and a dozen other competing brands now owned by one $22 billion company. When one parent company absorbs this many brands, the story on the bag often outlives the sourcing that built it. #7. Nature's Own. Flowers Foods, Florida's Department of Health, tested Nature's Own butter bread at 190.23 ppb and Perfectly Crafted White at 132.34 ppb in February 2026. The ingredient list includes datum and sodium stearoyl lactylate, additives that keep bread soft for weeks past when real bread would go stale. Some research has linked certain preservatives to behavioral effects in children. This isn't settled science, so frame it as an open question, not a verdict. 6. Arnold Organic, Bimbo. Arnold is owned by the same $22 billion company as Oro Wheat. Sara Lee, Nature's Own, and Dave's Killer Bread have all been independently tested for glyphosate at some point. Arnold Organic, with the same parent, same supply infrastructure, has no publicly available glyphosate test results we could locate. We can't say what the number would be. We can say the silence is notable given everything else in Bimbo's portfolio has been tested. That's 6 brands down, and every one of them still passed federal limits. What's coming up didn't. The next 4 include the highest single glyphosate reading in Florida's entire testing round, and the brand at #1 is the one built its whole reputation on refusing to have this problem. Of the 6 brands so far, which one surprised you the most? Drop the name below. I read every comment. 5. Wonder Bread, Flowers Foods, 173.19 ppb per Florida's February 2026 testing. The Grandmother's Kitchen brand, owned by the same company as Nature's Own. 2 slices a day for 40 years works out to roughly 30,000 servings. Exposure accumulates. But your body also starts reducing its chemical load the moment you stop adding to it. The next clean slice matters more than every one before it. #4. Sara Lee Honey Wheat, Bimbo 191.04 ppb, the single highest reading in Florida's published results. Higher than Wonder Bread, higher than Nature's Own. Owned by Bimbo since 2011, same parent as Oro Wheat and Arnold. Honey is in the name. Corn syrup is in the ingredients. #3. Pepperidge Farm, Campbell's. Independent testing found 587 ppb in Pepperidge Farm's 100% whole grain bread and 531 ppb in their Jewish rye and pumpernickel. Nearly 3 times what Nature's Own recorded in state testing. Glyphosate is often used as a pre-harvest desiccant, sprayed directly on standing grain days before harvest, and it concentrates in the outer hull, which whole wheat bread keeps and white bread strips away. Bayer has already paid $11 billion to settle nearly 100,000 lawsuits over Roundup and non-Hodgkin lymphoma, and in February 2026 proposed a further $7.25 billion settlement. Bayer continues to deny that glyphosate causes cancer, and courts have been divided on the underlying legal questions. This is genuinely contested, not a closed case. #2, Dave's Killer Bread, Flowers Foods. Florida's testing found the lowest detectable levels of the round here, 11.85 ppb and 10.38 ppb. Lower is not zero, and this is a brand built entirely on being the clean, organic gold standard. Flowers Foods bought Dave's Killer Bread in 2015, and in September 2024, a federal court certified a class action alleging the company misled consumers about protein content on the front label. Flowers has denied the allegations. 1365 by Whole Foods, Amazon. In prior independent testing, 365 whole wheat sandwich bread came back at 1,040 parts per billion of glyphosate, one of the highest levels found in any packaged bread in that dataset. Whole Foods has built its entire identity around a published list of ingredients it refuses to sell. The lab result doesn't match the message. Amazon acquired Whole Foods in 2017 for $13.7 billion, and multiple former executives have since described a more centralized, logistics-driven supply chain, replacing the sourcing philosophy the store was built on. Important context for the close of this section. Every single one of these results, including 365's, fell within the EPA's legal tolerance. No recalls were issued. Toxicologists have specifically criticized publishing trace-level results without lab methodology or health threshold context. That doesn't make the numbers meaningless, but it means detectable and dangerous are two different claims, and this video is only making the first one. Reveal/trustworthy picks #3 Food for Life, Ezekiel 4 verse 9. No flour, sprouted whole grains and legumes instead. Carries the biochecked non-glyphosate certified seal, meaning residues are undetectable at the lab's limit. Family owned since 1964, no corporate parent. #2, 1 Degree Organics publishes the specific farm source for every ingredient via a QR code on the bag and submits samples to third-party labs monthly, voluntarily, with no law requiring it. 1. Silver Hills Sprouted Bakery Canadian, family owned, every product biochecked non-glyphosate certified. The company has said the WHO's 2015 classification of glyphosate as a probable carcinogen shaped its sourcing standards going forward. Practical, check it yourself. You don't need to memorize ownership charts. 2 rules. Flip the bag if it has more than 5 ingredients or sits at room temperature for weeks without molding. That's a formulation, not fresh bread. A USDA organic seal tells you glyphosate wasn't sprayed on purpose. It does not tell you what's in the finished loaf. Look instead for a biochecked non-glyphosate certified or glyphosate residue-free seal. Those require actual lab testing of the final product. The labels in that aisle were built to earn your trust without actually earning it. Now you know how to check. If this changed how you look at your bread aisle, send it to someone who buys these brands on repeat. And hit subscribe, because the next one's about breakfast cereal.